guys, we'll go ahead and start the Get to 20K call. Thank you, Stephen Yee, for having us on. And today got a good friend of mine, Robert Vasquez. He's got a really cool story. I'm excited to jump in and for everyone else to hear where he came from and where he's at and where he's going. So let's knock it off, or let's start it off, Robert. So just start by just telling everyone kind of your story, where you were before Family First Life, how you found Family First Life, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, so I was at my practice company. We were more like, I guess, like educators, advisors. That's like kind of what my background was, like investments and a lot of permanent products. And the way I found Family First Life was an accident. It was December of, I think, 2019, I think. Of 2019. And I didn't have a good month in December. So I was looking for leads. And I was just looking for like life insurance leads, trying to get my premium up. And then I landed on actually Grady's page, FFL America, and it had all the lead vendors. And I'm like, damn, like that's awesome, and I didn't even know what FFL was. I would see like discount codes and stuff like that. And I just started using the leads that like from Game Time Leads, Happy Agent, Lead Real. I started using all those, and as I was like selling. But then what ended up happening is I started getting a lot of FFL ads. And I would see like the comp grid and I'm like, what the heck? How is that even possible? Because like I was at a 45% comp and 50% comp for some products. And so I was like, that's just, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. Like, how do you start, because where I was at, only the GA, which is the general agent, was at a high comp like that. And everyone was on his team, and, he would just sit in this big office and, be, I guess, the leader, I guess. But so I was just not understanding how is it that a new person could come in, and so I filled out a form, which happened to be your form that you got for one of your ads, and then I spoke to you, and the weirdest thing was the fact that you were from Kansas. That was super weird for me. I was just like, man, I don't know if I want to like deal with someone from Kansas. Like, I don't know. I didn't believe that it could be real. And I remember that I asked you, you asked me, what was your best month or last month or whatever? And I think it was like 14,000, but I only got paid like $6,000. And then I was like, what about you? And he goes like, and then I think he said, like 70,000 or something. And then I was like, how many people you have on your team? And then he's like, oh no, that was just me. And I was just like, what the heck? I was just not used to those numbers at all. And then you had told me you had only been there since April. So it just didn't make sense to me. And I was just like, man, if this guy could do that, I could at least do 20, like at least 25. Like if he's lying, inflating his numbers, I was like, I could at least do 20, like 25, like. And then like, I just took a chance. And I don't know if you remember, but I wasn't really coachable at the beginning.
Oh, I remember.
Because like, I just felt like, man, like the thing that bugged me the most, I don't know why, but was the financial inventory sheet. I just didn't understand why it was one page, because I was so used to mine that I had, which was like 15 pages. And I was just like, who's gonna use this? Like, it's just, I don't understand. And I think that a lot of people that come from other companies or quote unquote experience, in my opinion, it's not really experience, because if it worked, you would be there still, right? You wouldn't come here. So that's why I don't even like saying I have experience, because like I wasn't truly successful where I wanted to be, I just looked up to the people that have been there for 20 plus years, these old heads. that, you know, had nice cars, whatever, but in hope that one day when I was 50, I was gonna be there. But yeah, like I wasn't really, I think I was complicating it for myself, you know? And you kept telling me, oh, do this. And in my mind, I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Like, I'm gonna do it like this, you know? And, you know, I think that, you know, the first step that helped me get on track was just to listen to you, you know, listen to the person that is where you want to be in the company that you're in, and kind of leave everything at the door. That's kind of what I ended up doing. I also ended up moving to Texas because I wanted more leads on the CRM. So I just moved because I was like, man, like my first 30 days, I think I did 22,000, like half of February and half of March. And I was like, okay, this works. And I moved, and then I was still kind of fighting myself. And then I was like $6,000, $8,000. And then in June, we had a call with you and Stephen Yee, and we were like, dude, like, you know, we can do 20K like every month. Like, and I think it's the number one thing that I didn't do was I didn't manage my schedule at all. I didn't have a schedule. Like I would sell $8,000, then like I would go home, and then like I was done. I was like, oh, I'm done for the month. You know, I'll start next month. And I think that a lot of people do that, because now that I'm building a team, I see that, and I'm like, oh man, this is what Colton was going through. Like, you know, and you kind of can't get comfortable. You gotta have to just kind of keep the ball rolling, and it all starts with commitment to what you want to build. You know, I remember I don't know if you remember, we were in Vegas and I went to speak to you and I apologized to you. And I was like, dude, I'm so sorry, man. I'm not being coachable. I'm not listening to you. And I told you, man, if I'm not listening, just hit me on the head, bro. Like I can hear your position. And you were like, no, yeah, you're gonna do fine. You're like, you're gonna do fine. And then boom, that's when, you know, in June I issued like 19,700. Then this July I did 22,000. So now it's like, now I kind of know that it really is simple. I think everyone that isn't doing, you know, 15K plus is not following something in the blueprint. Something, whether it's the buying leads, whether it's dialing, whether it's your schedule, getting enough appointments, or doing your in-home correctly, like stuff like that. You know, I think that people aren't making the adjustments necessary, but I'm just glad. I'm so happy that I'm figuring out this, you know, and I got you and Stephen Yee, you know, that have my back, that I can call and be like, hey man, this happened, you know, or this happened. And I want to, like, you know, adjust, you know, but that's kind of my story from when I started, you know, till now.
Yeah. And so you kind of threw a lot at us right there, but like, because I remember that conversation we had. What was great is you came through like a Facebook campaign that was shut off. Because now, and you weren't even supposed to come in, which was awesome. And then we ended up talking. I remember you talking to me. I was somewhat excited for you, but I remember like, yeah, you're like, I didn't really believe what you were saying. You're like, there's no way this guy is selling 50, 60 grand a month.
From Kansas.
Yeah. But like for me, like I didn't come from the insurance background. A lot of people go through what you went through, the 50, 60, 70, 80% comps, and just not getting paid what they're worth. But on top of that, talk about people, like, kind of dive into that, the financial inventory you had and how long it took you to be paid compared to what we got now.
Yeah, so the way that it was done at my old company is you basically, first of all, everything is referral based. So there's a lot of like convincing involved. So you would kind of, your free appointment to convince them is you just want to show them what you helped so-and-so with, right? You show up and it was called the Fact Finder, and it was 15 pages long. So you go over their whole history of their life, everything, like their name, their address, everything, kind of the same way we have, but even more, like their investments, their budget, where are they spending here, where can they cut on taxes if they're a business owner, all this stuff. And it was super lengthy, and you basically fill that out in your first appointment, which took about anywhere between an hour to an hour and a half. And then you would tell them, all right, Colton, we're going to go ahead and grab this information. I'm going to go sit down with other advisors, and we're going to figure out what's the best plan for you to increase and help your income. And all these, like, at the end of the day, it's all fugazi. Like, it's not, it's the truth. Like, at the end of the day, insurance is very simple, it's not as advanced as it appears to be at my old company. And so then you would go ahead and schedule a second appointment, come back. So
you would do all that and then still not show them anything?
No, nothing.
Okay.
It's a get to know meeting, which is why they call it the Fact Finder. Just get to know the client. And so I would go back. There was no advisors. In reality, it was just me. Like, a lot of the clients that I was meeting with were, because the way it works over there, you scale up in your client base, like the way your clients are. So first you work with, I guess, middle income America, then you're supposed to end up moving up all the way up as you get older. It's designed that way. So you're not supposed to win in the beginning in reality. You're supposed to kind of pay your dues and then move up all the way. And so after that, I would come back on the next appointment. Sometimes I would have the second appointment. Sometimes I didn't, sometimes they were like, geez, that was an hour and a half. Like, this guy's going to come for another, go around. Like, sometimes they were cool with it, and I would show up and then I would show them the solution. And then basically there is when I go ahead and show, I guess, the solution for them. And then if they say yes, then I go ahead and schedule a nurse to come over the next week. So it's a whole process, right? If they say no, then I tell them, oh, I'm gonna go back and we're gonna adjust to whatever their budget is or whatever. So you can have a third, fourth appointment. So if it does close on that one, you schedule the medical examiner to come. They come and they ask a lot of questions again, especially if they're older. If they're like over 50, they definitely ask a lot of questions.
So you only did fully underwritten?
Only fully underwritten. We didn't have any simplified issue at all. I didn't even know what that was until I came to FFL. And the crazy thing is that you could have written on the board like, oh, $3,000 in premium. But the truth is, you don't know if you're going to get paid that or not, because now you have to wait for what the exams say and the lab say, because the price can go up like tremendously, or they won't even get offered anything, And so it was more like submitted premium, we didn't have IP issue premium. So then after that, once it does get issued and the client agrees, then we had what we called the closeout dates. So we had a calendar of when a policy needed to be issued before you were able to get paid on that cycle. So if it got issued on the 16th, but my cycle was the 15th, then I would have to wait another 2 weeks to get paid on that. So you're looking at, if I submitted a policy today, the 10th, I'm probably going to get paid September 7th, maybe around there. It's wild to talk about it now, because I didn't know any better. Now I'm like, what the heck? Why would I wait for so long to get paid?
Right, yeah. Because I remember
you don't.
That's right, and I don't know what other people went through, and sometimes I talk about it nonchalant when I talk to new agents, or if they've already been in the business. Because I remember telling you, yeah, we just get paid in 2 days. And you're like, how? Like, well, we get approvals in the house. Everything's on the computer. It's so easy. You're like, and I just remember you taken back. And I think that was another step of like, this guy's blowing smoke.
No.
But we do have it so easy. And I was thankful enough that I stumbled upon FFL for my first insurance job versus kind of what you did. And you bounced around a little bit, but I mean, you finally found your way and you went through your bumps and bruises. But I think that's why you are where you are now. But so the other thing that you kind of had to come through, because you like doing a lot of kind of stuff over the phone or Zooms and stuff like that, because you come through from a background like you're awesome on the phones. They're like, I hear you on the phones, you're great, and you have that skill set where you were somewhat successful. So kind of talk about that struggle from trying to do it on the phones and when you finally just let go and you're like, all right, I'm going in houses.
Yeah, so when I started, I was trying to just close everyone on the phone. And don't get me wrong, it didn't work. I mean, yeah, I would get some closes, but it's not sustainable. It's not. And the other thing is that it's not what the blueprint is here, that the proven system that I can go ahead and hire someone and then train them how to do it. You know, you can't do that on the phone. Then there would be no team, to be honest. And so I kind of called you and I told you, man, I'm not doing anything on the phone anymore, man. I'm gonna just go in the home. And I started going in the home and, everything started working better for me, better rate of closing. The return was higher on lead purchases because you had more opportunities when you're in the home to go ahead and find out, because they get to meet Robert, they get to meet Colton. Because at the end of the day, what we do is very simple. At the end of the day, a lot has to do if they like you also. If they trust you, they're like, man, is this guy here to help me or not? Or is this guy trying to sell me a big policy like the last guy, So I think that, oh man, the transition to the in-home was a game changer for me. I don't know what I was thinking, and I want to apologize in front of all these people for trying to do it my way. It did not work. So don't try it. I'll tell you that right now. Try it.
Yeah, but that is what's great, because everyone goes through their different stuff. There's the people that just dive in when they first start. There's some people that think their way's better than others. Like you might not be able to do it, but I can. But I mean, at the end of the day, like you ended up just putting everything aside and just like, what do I need to do? And once you did that, I think that's when your first like full month, you went out there and did 20 grand, and it kind of showed, because you're good on the phones, but I think you're even better in the house. Because what's your close ratio when you're sitting down with somebody?
I would say like 90% now.
Yeah, that's 90%. Crazy. That's I think mine's still like 50, 60, 70% if I'm lucky. 70% is really good for me. That's what's crazy is your close ratio, I guess, just went through the roof once you started doing in person.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. But so what kind of talk to people about, because everyone's here to kind of learn from our mistakes, and I've made crazy mistakes as well, as have you and everyone in this business. That's what we learn from and get better every day. So kind of talk to people about the importance of consistency and keeping your momentum, and kind of what happened when you had a really great month. Your first full month, you went 20 grand, did 20K. And then after you did that, you took a little bit off, and moving to Houston had something to do with it. But kind of talk about that and how much better off you're doing now that you are keeping that consistency.
Yeah, that's very important what you said. It's important to know, like you can't be happy about your last month. You know, you're back at zero I see that every Monday I'm back at zero. You know, and before, when I took that time off, I was like, man, when I came back, oh man, it was in June, which is my first month. I was at, I think I was at 4,000 in premium in the 13th day of the month. I don't know if you remember that. It was very hard for me to come back. Now that I was trying to turn it on, it was like, geez, what's going on? And I didn't change nothing though. I kept going. I kept going. And boom, I did 17 grand in 1 week. And I was like, Jesus. I was like, wow. I was like, because you see that on Facebook, right? And you're like, man, how did that guy do it? But when it happens to you, you're just like, man, like, it didn't even feel like 17 grand, you know? So it's very important to be consistent no matter how, because everyone has bad days. Everyone even has bad weeks, you know? But if you do the activity, you'll never have a bad month. You'll never have a bad month. It's impossible. It's just impossible. If you're sticking to your lead purchases, if you're sticking to dialing, if you're sticking to going to these appointments, it's gonna, like, something I always hear everyone say is the field owes me, and I never understood that meant, like, what field? Who owes me? But it's true. Like, it's just the numbers always play out. Like, it's just the numbers game. Like, it's never not gonna play out for you. You know, I can have a 3K week, but the next week is a 10K week, you know, all of a sudden, like, so as long as you're consistent, because I see this as a train, you know, like, you get at the beginning, you're new, right? So you're going through your learning curve and you're like, right? The train's going slow, really slow. But once you pick up speed, don't stop. Do not stop that train. I'm telling you, like, it was a big mistake that I made. And I tell that to everyone now to hire. I'm like, okay, you had a good week. All right, let's do it again. Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't, because you have 10 grand now in your bank account. Like, keep going. Like, you don't want to stop, because then the machine stops. You know, you're the machine. This is like we have a literal money printer. Literally, like, this thing is a printer. Like, you can literally print money at will. And if you stop it, it will stop working. You know, you need to keep it going, because then it just follows you. You know, it just literally follows you. I had a bad dial day on Thursday. And guess what? You know, it was really bad for me Friday and Saturday. But on Friday, my last appointment that I went to at 9:30 at PM, I did in just that house 4,700 in premium. And, you know, I love what Stevie E always says is that it doesn't matter what the last appointment went. You got to be like a Broadway show. It's not their fault that they didn't show up, but the next person did. Like, do the best you can for them. You know, like, bring that show to them, the FFL show that you have, you know, the helping families, you know. And like I said, you're going to have either bad appointments, bad days, bad weeks, but you'll never have a bad month. Just do the activity, and it'll always pay out. You know, you never get too low, not too high. You stay right in the middle.
I think that was huge, because I remember you going through that, like, when you moved to Texas and you had to do a couple other things back in California. You're like, I'm probably gonna run in California, and stuff happens, and it's just hard to get back in that motion when you let go. It's like,
oh yeah.
And even if you're good on the phones, it's hard to get back in that momentum of dialing. It's not like just riding a bike where you can pick it up after 5 years of not riding a bike. It's, you know the things, but then it's just like what I say back when I wrestled or something like that. If I took a week off from wrestling, I go back, I'll get my butt beat, like, by anybody that was in the room that has been consistent for a week, is because it feels different when people are giving you the objections. Like, a week prior, you would have been awesome at the objection handling, you know exactly what to say, but then you're rusty when you come back, then you're not overcoming objections, and then you get down, then you don't want to make the dials, and it just snowballed in a bad way. But when you keep that momentum, that consistency, like where you're at now, you're consistently writing well over 20 grand a month. And I don't see you going back. The next step is obviously like the doubling that. And then now it's starting to snowball in a good way for you because you're consistently there. And I think that's what everyone needs to know when they first start out here is the momentum. Because every agent that has struggled here, it's somewhere along the lines in their first 90 days where they've lost that momentum. And we say Disneyland, but it's not even literally going to Disneyland. It could be going to the lake for a weekend or just taking a weekend off.
True.
Just a Friday or Saturday off because you had a good week prior to spend time with your family. We do this because of our family, but in the very beginning, you're still learning, and then that's when you take that weekend off. And the following week, that's when 2 chargebacks hit, and then now you don't want to buy leads because now you're worried about writing business, and now you're not going to get paid, and you get in a rut and you get in a mental fog, and it's hard to come back from.
Yeah,
I think that, but like you said, like if you continually doing it and just continually working in the field 4 days a week, there's no way if you're running, we try to get people to 32 appointments. If you're doing that, there's no way you don't have a good month. But running 26, 32 appointments consistently a week, there's no way if you don't sit on 10 people, you don't sell 5. Like, and that's my goal when I'm out there. My goal, if I've got 10 appointments, all I care about is I sell 3 a day. There's no way I don't do 10K a week. I don't care if it's Direct Express, AIG, whatever it is. Like the numbers are going to work itself out. But that's what you've been really good at is your consistency now, and the way, like, I think you leading from the front, now you're starting to hire and your team's kind of doing the same thing. But kind of move on from there, because I think you have a really, really cool in-home. And so kind of just break that down for us. Go through your in-home a little bit. I think everyone, once you say you sell 90% of the people, I think everyone wants to know what you're doing.
Yeah. So, so the way I do my in-home is, number one is the mindset, right? I think that, dealing now with newer people like that we're bringing on to the team is the mindset is the number one. I tell them, look, if they book the appointment with me, they want the policy. Like, go in there in your head that they want the policy. Like, everything you say or do, come as if you're just there to pick up, leave them a policy, and then go to the next appointment. So that's always my mindset when I go to these appointments. I don't say, oh, this guy is 72, like, oh man, he's probably, it's gonna be expensive, or you know what I mean? Like, get that out of your head, because if you do that, you're lost, right? So number one is the mindset. So I go in, I have a clipboard with my final inventory sheet already on there. Well, I just stack them out a bunch. I like to leave it there because they see that and they're like, oh damn. And I'm like, yeah, I told you I visited 30 people today. Like, if they don't from like the past 2 weeks or whatever, right? But so I go in there. And the first thing I sit down, with whoever it is, let's say it's Mary, and I'll tell all right, Mary, I already, it's very, I already know kind of like the guidelines for like Eagle Premier, HMS. Like, obviously it's tougher for someone who's 65 to do HMS versus Eagle Premier. So I kind of set the expectation, because the way I see it is kind of like, if I'm selling a car, right, and this 21-year-old kid comes and wants a Mercedes and he has a 500 credit score, I'm not going to take him on a test drive to a Mercedes if I know this guy's not going to qualify. Because if I do, this guy's going to go and he's going to be excited. Then we're going to do the financing. I'm like, all right, man, the best I could do for you is that Honda Civic over there. It's a 2005, has about 200,000 miles. He's not going to want to do that, right? That's a mistake I did at the beginning. Was I would show them, oh yeah, look, I would quote them like 200,000 is, $150. And then they would get declined. I would try to show them Eagle Premier. And now they're like, wait, you just told me. And they like get stuck on that, right? So what I did to change that was, instead of showing them options at the beginning, I did it backwards. I was like, I'm gonna get approved first for something, and then show them the options based on whatever they get approved for. So, you know, I fill out the inventory sheet as much as I can. And then I'll tell them, all right, Mary, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab this information, I'm gonna put it into my iPad, and then the iPad, the system's gonna let me know what you qualify for. And I just go like that. And I already know, okay, this guy's, these people are 32 years old, they're healthy, John Hancock, right? Or these people are 65 years old, has conditions, all right, I'll go Eagle Premier, right? Or this guy, you know, whatever, right? So I always know kind of, I have this guide that I give to all the agents that we have on our team, and which is very simple, so they know kind of where to go. And so I go ahead and do the application. Let's say I'm on Eagle Premier and I do the whole application. In the second tab, you already know if they get approved or not through the pre-check, right? So then you're like, okay, good, we're green, right? So then you keep going, and I fill out everything on the app all the way till I get to the banking info. Once I'm at the banking info, keep in mind, I already got their social. I already got a lot of their medical history. I got to do a little small talk also as I'm talking to them, right? Little things like, oh, I'm writing the beneficiary's name. Oh, oh, so how old is little Mary, right? Little Mary Jr. And, oh, she's, whatever. She's in college right now, whatever. Oh, great. That's great that you're doing this for her. And I'll throw little seeds, to let them know, hey, this is what you're doing, right? Man, it's so awesome that you're thinking about them. A lot of people don't really do this, so I'm really excited when I meet people that understand what this is for. And I say stuff like that, and I call that well, I don't call it, it's called priming. So you're already setting these psychological things in their head where they're like, oh, I am doing a good thing, like, oh, I am a good mom, like that's what they have, the reaction in their head. So once I get all the way till the banking info, I then grab the inventory sheet and I go on the back, and on my phone, I go to my America quote, and I do the 3 plans. And I do 3 plans. I do the max coverage, and then I do one in the middle, and then I do one that is like, I don't know, anywhere between $60, $70, like affordable, I guess, is the plan. And I go, all right, Mary, I'm so happy. You were able to get qualified, I'll say this, I'll throw little psychological things. So I'll say, I was a little concerned about, the medication you were taking, but you were good to go. So I'm happy that you got qualified. So in their head, they're like, damn, I barely got qualified. So the reason why I say stuff like that is because it takes away the whole, oh, I'm going to look around. Because in their head, they're like, man, I just got approved. I'm probably not going to get approved anywhere, So then I go ahead and pull out the plans, and I go, okay, Mary, so out of these 3 plans, how much do you want to leave to little Mary? And I say it exactly like that. And so I'll write the death benefit really big, and I'll put a rectangle around it. And then I'll write the monthly payment kind of in a smaller text, because I want them to buy based on the death benefit. The price is there. I don't need to tell them the price. They see it. They can read. But I need to psychologically let them know that when they're choosing based on what's going to happen if they pass away. So I'll say, like, if you were to pass away tonight, how much would you like to leave to Mary? And they see the 3 boxes, and then they see, 30,000, 20,000, 10,000. And I'm telling you, man, 9 out of 10 times they'll pick one. And I'll go, okay, perfect. Can I have your, can you please provide your accounting routing number, if you have a voided check? Then they go grab it. I'm telling you, like, and at that point, they're like, oh man, it's a little more expensive than I thought. And I'll go, oh, Mary, don't worry. Look, what most people do is they start off with a very basic plan. If their situation changes, right, if you win the lottery, right, or something like that, and they go, oh, they start laughing. You can go ahead and change the coverage to what you'd like, okay? So I tell them what we're gonna do. I don't say, do you wanna go with this one or this one? I go, okay, great. So if the coverage was, I don't know, 10,000, I'll go, okay, let's do 5,000. So let's start with something, because we gotta keep this approval in place. right? Because the most important thing is not the coverage right now, you know, especially right now, if that payment isn't affordable right now, let's keep the approval in place. So let's do the 5,000. Okay. That's going to bring you down to $42 a month. Okay. And I tell them, I never ask. And people are like, oh, isn't that rude? I'm like, no, we're selling life insurance. They're going to be ecstatic when they find out that there's something in place when they pass away. Because I got this from Trey Honeycutt. He said, the best insurance that someone can have when they pass away is the one that's in place when they die. So don't ever feel bad. Oh man, I sold them the wrong one. I could have sold them Prosperity. It was $10 cheaper or this. Like, don't ever like feel like that, especially when you're learning. Just kind of get them covered. You know? So then I go ahead and fix the product information, the coverage, and then I go to the amount and I go, great. So you have that voided check? Again, 9 or 10 times, boom, forget the voided check. And they're almost like, wow, this guy didn't care that I didn't get the big one or the middle one. Like, I literally downplayed my, you know, the coverage that they're just like, man, this guy's not coming for my money or anything, you know? And so then I finish it up and at the end, I go, man, I'm so happy. Do you mind if we take a picture? And then 9 out of 10 people were like, yeah. Or if the people that say, oh, why do you want a picture? I'll go like, okay, great. You know, it's just, I like to show, you know, if something were to happen to you, I like to show, you know, Mary, you know, a picture that you were happy when you chose the coverage, because they're going to be very happy that you left this gift to them, because it is a gift. Not everyone does it. And then they're like, wow. They're just like, you know, see, I really emphasize what this is for. I do not make it feel like a sale whatsoever. Like when I have underwriter on my badge, I treat it like I'm underwriting and I'm there to help them. And I really am. Like, I'm not faking it, right? I really am. You cannot think about, oh, I need to get the big premium. Oh man, I need 3,000 more to hit 10K this. No, like, get out of your, you're always gonna lose. You're gonna deal with chargebacks. Do not do that. Like, really have a good heart and do what's gonna help them. Like, what's the point of me forcing this person to get an $80 policy if they can really afford $40? You know, and I don't mind writing a small policy. Like you've seen on Slack, I've written even $20 policies, but I'm not walking away with nothing. Like, I feel like, man, if this person would have passed away tonight and they weren't covered, like, it's my responsibility to get them covered. You know, it's my responsibility. And I'm telling you, I think that that's what's helping me. And I'm telling everyone that joins our team, like, look, this is how we're doing. We're here to help people. We're not here to make sales. Yes, the money's going to come. Trust me, it's going to follow you. And it's been working. This way we do it in-home. Everyone does it on our team. Everyone. And everyone is having the same success rate. And I think it's a lot to do with the way we present it and the way we help these people, because they do need our help. They do need our help.
Yeah. That's really, really good. So you're basically just pre-checking everybody.
Oh yeah.
And then if it doesn't go through, then you're pivoting, right?
I pivot to Prosperity or whatever AIG you have to, whatever.
Yeah. When you went there, your close ratio went through the roof, because then you'd show them all the bells and whistles of CBO 100, and then like, they're not getting declined. And then, because I did that in the beginning too. I think we all had. Ask Steven, I was one of the worst at pivoting in the very beginning, because it's like, then you're showing the options, you're going through it, then you get the decline, and then you tell them how worried you are about it, and then they're freaking out. They're like, well, now I don't want it. Like, you're freaking out. You're the insurance agent. Like, and you can't do that. You have to keep your composure. You have to, like, they don't need to know what you're doing behind your tablet.
They don't.
It's normal, and we're not doing that or saying that like we're taking advantage of anyone, because we're not. These people need the coverage because they've been thinking about it for 10, 15, 20 years, and they still haven't gotten anything. And you're cute, and like what you said is right on point. Is that these people need something that's going to pay out, whether it be a $5,000 policy or a $200,000 policy. That's all that matters. But I think I love your in-home. That's why I wanted to go over it, because you've got one of the best in-homes out there. On just because you basically you pre-check, doesn't go through, then you can pivot or or like your agents. If it doesn't go through, then they ask you, like, where do I go? And that's what I kind of tell people is like, if Eagle doesn't go through, then call me. Like, we'll figure it out. But to stay in control, and just because that doesn't go through doesn't mean they can't get something level somewhere else. That's what's great about all the carriers that we work with.
Yeah, everyone could get covered in reality, you know.
Mm-hmm. And so you harp on the death benefit, and when people basically they say they want to think about it, you just go straight to like not asking, but perfect. Let's just start with the lowest option. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, cause when they say what I hear when they say I need to think about it is they need to think about what coverage to choose. They don't need to think about if we're getting a plan today, like, you know. And I make it seem that way, and because I already what's awesome in my opinion, like, of the way the in-home, the way I kind of do it is, dude, you already went through so much. They're in so deep now. You know, that's why I never showed options at the beginning. Dude, you haven't done anything with it. You've been there 5 minutes.
Right.
Dude, they're not, you know what I mean? How can you expect them to choose based on a paper, you know, like, you know what I mean? So if I went through the whole thing and I'm throwing little jabs, right? Little hooks in there, and they don't even realize it, that they're setting up their own, like, you know, clothes for themselves, that by the time I get to the plans, it's not even like, the people that I do not close are because they're like unemployed. There's like no money, dude. Like that's just the honest truth. I always get something, and I don't mind getting a small policy, because like at the end of the day, like we were saying right now, is they gotta have something. Insurance is pennies on the dollar. Even if it's a $3,000 policy, it's still pennies on the dollar. You're still gonna pay less a year if you die a year or 2 years from now, 3 years from now. It's still gonna be less of what you paid into the policy than the coverage. So, you know, I just feel that, you know, if you emphasize a lot of what's going on, like, for example, on the final inventory sheet, all the way at the bottom when you're writing the beneficiary, I look at them in the eyes and I go, Colton, if you were to die today, who's the one that's going to be in charge of taking care of everything? And I look at them in their eyes, like, oh, like, and they're in their head, they're like, Jesus, like, I never thought about dying today, you know, like in their head, it's like, and so they're like, my daughter Mary, you know, you know. And so I those are all little priming seeds that I leave for them, so that by the time I get to the price, it's not a problem of they're getting coverage. The problem is like, let's fit this into your budget. How can we fit into your budget? It's not a think about, because dude, there's nothing to think about life insurance. It makes sense. Pennies on the dollar. Okay. In reality, you can get any type of coverage and it's still going to be somewhat affordable. Like, there's nothing to think about. What is there to think about? It's not going to get cheaper a year from now. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I think that's what's made you successful and kind of differentiates you from people that sell maybe 25% of the people, is because those people that aren't selling at a ratio that they're wanting to, they take these objections in the home as real objections, but you don't see it as a real objection to think about it, or I can't afford it, because you're digging deep on what they can afford. And we're not thinking about if you want the coverage. You fill out the form. Like, exactly. It was my job to come out here and show you what you can be approved for, and we'll fit it in your budget. Like, it's that simple. And I think that you've gotten really good at that. And I think even training some of our guys about it is like, you paid for the lead, they filled it out, and
that's what I tell them. Like, dude, you pay for the lead, dude. Just go in there, dude.
Right, exactly. And so the rare cases where you literally can't get them approved, talk about what else how whatever house you're going into, if you're sitting down with someone, you're walking away with something, rather, even if it's an accidental or a child policy. Kind of think about that.
Yeah. So, in any case that, right, it's funny, like, I tell everyone, like, dude, look for the premium. Sometimes the premium isn't the lead. I've walked away from appointments where I come out with with 4 child whole lives. I don't care. It equals 1 adult one, right? I don't care. You know, like I had one where she was 35. I didn't get approved with no one for term, and obviously they can't get final expense. But I left with coverage for all their kids, for all their kids, you know. So like you got to look for the premium. You know, I also went to an appointment where I went. Man, the lady had 5 policies. They were all legit. They were all good. She bought them 5 years ago. Final expense, nothing I can do, right? And I told her, I'm like, the beneficiary, Richard, he's your son, right? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, I think you should get coverage for him. And then guess what? I discovered that this guy has a lot of issues, medical issues. She's like, you're right. I do need to get coverage. She's like, his wife won't be able to pay for anything. She doesn't work. She doesn't work, and he's sick. And I'm like, she starts talking about the wife, right? You know, I guess they don't like each other. But she ended up getting a policy for her son. So like, I always try to look for the premium, like whether it's the beneficiary. You know, like I had another one. I took an agent with me, and he was like, "What the heck? How did that happen?" So I had the mom call the daughter to come over the house to get coverage. And you know, our agent on our team was like, what? He was like, how did that even happen? She literally put on speaker. She's like, Mary, I need you to come over right now. She's like, for what? She's like, you're gonna get coverage. You know, I'm here with Robert. He's a really nice guy. He's right. You have 2 kids. He's like, you have 2 kids. And now the mom's selling the daughter, you know, and it's awesome. Like,
right.
And you just kind of like find out, like, oh, especially like there's family members, like find out who they are. Oh, hi. Oh, how many kids you have? Oh, okay. So then they automatically realize, like, damn, like, and they're like, oh, so how much would it be for me? You know, like they'll just say stuff like that. And like, so I just ask a lot of questions, you know. Don't feel, I mean, dude, everyone I assume is a nice person, you know, so they shouldn't be weird. A lot of the stuff that is weird, like, oh, like this person didn't want to give me their social. I promise you made it weird. I promise you were the one that made it weird, because I've never been asked, why am I getting the social? It's common sense. Like, it's life insurance. This is how they identify you, you know? But so it's like everything you do, just say it like nonchalant. Oh, why does your daughter have coverage? You know, I'll say stuff like that. Oh, she has 2 kids. Like, I just thought, you know, she's young. It's really inexpensive right now. I just thought she should probably get coverage. And then they're like, yeah. And they're just like, you know, it's weird. Like, it's just weird how it happens. I just think you need to ask questions, you know, look for the premium anywhere. It might not be the lead sometimes, and it's okay, you know, but I'm leaving with something.
Right. And so one more thing, but so we're going to go ahead and open it up for Q&A here in a minute. So if you have any questions, put them in the chat, and we'll go ahead and have Robert answer those. So while people are filling that up, but that's what I think a lot of people, you don't run into it because people trust you, and you're able to gain these people trust, so you don't run into that issue of I need your social or I need your bank information. And I think that's why you're able to pivot, and they trust you so much. They're going to call their daughter and tell them to come over. Like, you need this. And then when you show them how much you care, then they trust your opinion. And then they start asking you, well, what would you do? What do you think I should do? And that's when they're just, you have lay downs. They weren't lay downs when you got there, but you set the table.
You positioned it.
Yeah, exactly. So before we do open it for Q&A, any last little nuggets or anything else you think you want to share with everyone on the call?
Yeah, guys, you know, just have confidence. You know, I know it's very tough when you're learning to be confident, but I promise you, you know, if you just follow, you know, what we teach your FFL, you just follow it, you're gonna be afraid. But anything you do it afraid, but do it. You know, like, I promise you, like, it's impossible for you to come in here do the system we have here. Don't be like me where I try to invent stuff, don't try to be, oh, I'm gonna change the game. Like, no, like just come in here, follow the system. If you keep doing it, I promise you, no pun intended, you're gonna have your breakthrough. I promise you, like, just follow it, trust it. Don't have a bad dial day and say, oh, it doesn't work. Like, I promise you, it's not the leads. I promise you, it's not the leads. It's not anything. Like, I promise you, just look in the mirror, find out what it is. Like, why is this happening to me? Listen to yourself. Say, hey, call a top producer if that's doing over 20K. Contact them. Hey, I want you to hear my phone script. Tell me, can you please critique me? Like, I promise you, like, egos don't work here. Like, you got to remove your ego, because everyone here knows something that they don't, like Colton. I'm trying to catch up to Colton, and Colton was doing pest control before this. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's a evil, and not evil, I'm saying it's a even level playing field that we're doing here. So just follow what the top people are doing, call them, like try to reach out to someone and follow what they're doing, or ask them to kind of critique what you're doing, because I promise you that it's you. Like, I promise you, like, whatever you're doing, you're either not dialing enough, or you're not buying enough leads, or you got to figure out what is it. But I promise you that the answer, if you're the problem, that's a good news, because guess what, you're also the solution.
Mm-hmm.
So
right, that's
what I just adjust.
Yeah, that's money. That's what I always told myself with anything in life, and it applies to business too. It's not happening to you, it's happening because of you. Mm-hmm. Whether it be positive or negative, you're in control of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's awesome. So let's see if we got any questions here. All right, from Jennifer. How many do you door knock? Do you door knock? Basically, I think she's asking, how much do you door knock, it seems, and then do you door knock instance, or how do you handle, I think what she's asking, how do you handle instance that aren't answering?
Yeah, so I don't door knock. I don't consider myself door knocking. Yes, I'll door knock one or two, nearby between appointments. I trust this a lot more for myself, the phone. And in regards to you not resolving them, like having them answer, I've done texting before, and literally, the lady I'm telling you that called her daughter, that I booked that appointment through a text. She hung up on me, and I texted her, and she booked the appointment. It was weird, and once I'm there, they're gonna meet you, so they're gonna trust you. As long as you're a good person, right? You're trustworthy. And the other thing is, keep all your leads, like keep calling all, like get phone burner. I have phone burner, and I laugh, right? Like I'll book an appointment and I'll be like, oh, Hyro, like, dude, I bought that one in May. How weird. And I'm like, so that's why I don't need, that's another thing. Another advice here is, every lead is the same. Yesterday I bought another $400 in 1 month old leads, and I booked 9 appointments off those leads. So every lead is the same. Like when you get your spreadsheet, it's going to tell you the lead type. I erase that part. I don't even want to know what it is. It's just the lead to me. I don't want to know it's 1 month, 2 month, 3 month. Like, I don't want to know. So you're going to resolve all the leads, keep them, put them into phone burner. Dude, that thing dials for you. Like, so you're going to go through all of them, and they're going to answer at that one time that they were available, that you haven't been calling for them for the past 2 months. I promise you. In June, about maybe 5,000 in premium was from leads that I bought in May. No joke. I promise you. And I was like shocked. I was like, Jesus, like, why didn't you answer? Like, what, right? Like, what were you doing that you're so busy? Like, but sometimes they just answer. Other thing I do is I have an app called Dial Pad. So I like to switch my number, because they'll answer another number and then they'll be like, oh my God, it was the insurance guy, and then they're like, yeah, let's book it, after not answering you on the other calls. So that's stuff that I do to get more reaches. But I just trust the phone more, because I could door knock, but I feel that there needs to be a plan in place. So if you do door knock, make sure it's do it by zip code. Download a zip code map. Like I have a zip code map where it shows it has the zip code number. So on Phone Burner, if I'm in 77049, I have an appointment there. Then I look at all the leads that are there for 77049, because I ain't trying to drive other side of Houston to door knock one person. It doesn't makes no sense. You're gonna waste a lot of gas, and then guess what? It's gonna ruin your morale if that person doesn't open the door. So you got to be very, very strategic when door knocking. I trust the phones, but yes, I do know I have 2 people that door knock on our team, but that's how they do it. So they're very strategic, and they usually go to older people because those people are most likely home during the day.
Right. So another question from Benny: what does your lead flow strategy typically look like for a week?
So you want to, I buy leads on Sunday nights and Wednesday nights. So I'll split it. I'll go 500. Obviously, if you're not getting the appointments, you buy more. I know it's kind of scary because you're like, man, like, but trust me, sometimes you'll buy that other 500 and that's where the 4,000 were. So don't buy them on Monday morning. And Thursday morning, because at least most of the times in Houston, they're wiped out because everyone's ready for dial day. Sometimes you get lucky, like I saw on Monday in the morning, I just picked up another 400 because I saw that there was a lot of 1 months. And I love them because they're cheap. Your ROI is through the roof when you get sales. So yeah, that's kind of what I do.
Okay, cool. I love that tip, just on Phone Burner alone, just wiping away what type of lead it is, because then everyone's like certain leads, and then people will dial instants better than they will a 1-month-old. Mentally, they'll go through more objections on the instant because they know these leads are supposed to be better. But if it's a 1 month, they get an objection, they just give up, and it's kind of funny.
True.
So that's a great tip. Let's see here. I thought there was another one in there. And okay, so what's your phone script look like?
My phone script is very simple. So I just go, Colton, to say yes. Hi, Colton. This is Robert. I'm getting back to you about the form you filled out regarding the state life insurance programs. I'm just, very powerful word, I'm just the underwriter assigned to give you the information. I got here your date of birth as, March 15th, 1950s. That's still correct. And then they'll go, yes. Okay, perfect. So as you already know, these state programs require no exams. So there's no blood or urine needed to qualify. I say that because a lot of people will hang up on you because they already got declined somewhere. So you want to say that. My job is just to make sure that you're not attached to a hospital bed. I'm going to be out in your area Tuesday and Wednesday. It just takes 15 minutes. Another thing right there, just takes 15 minutes. I'm going to be there Tuesday, Wednesday, which day works best for you. And then they'll say, I can't those days, right? And you say, no worries. Is it because you work during the day? And they'll say, yes. Okay, perfect. They think by saying yes, they got you off the phone, right? And I love when they say that. Those are my favorite ones. So they go, yes. I'll go, perfect. What time you get off? And they go, oh, I get off like at 6. Because they're thinking, no, this guy ain't coming here late. I'll go, and I'll say, perfect. I'll put you down for 7 o'clock. That way it gives you time to get accommodated. Again, it just takes 15 minutes. Now, what is the address here? Is it still the apartment number 14? And they'll go, yes. And then you'll be surprised, you'll book it. A lot of times they think that we work 9 to 5s. I don't care. I'll be there at 11 o'clock if I have to. I pay for that lead. I'm getting my money's worth. So yeah, so you gotta, I tell them what to do in a very respectful way. I don't ask, oh, do you like 11 more or 1? They're not gonna do that. They're gonna know they're gonna beat you, so they're gonna say, no, you know what? No. So you gotta kind of control it. So But yeah, that's basically very simple script, nothing fancy.
Gotcha. And do you think it's do you pause it all in the very beginning, or do you go through it all to get to the date of birth as quickly as you can?
So I say Colton, and then it'll say yes. That's like my first pause, and then after that, I verify the date of birth, and then that's when my next pause is. I don't pause before that.
Right. Okay. Awesome. Smart. Kind of avoids the hang-ups and the objections before you get out while you're calling.
They're going to be interested in why you have their date of birth, so they'll definitely listen. Mm-hmm.
Right. All right, got another question. Oh, where did you get the map you just held up with the zip codes? Did you Google that or what?
Yeah, so wherever you live, I live in Houston, so I'll go Houston zip code map, and it's very cool because it'll break down the zip codes, if you can see there. And so it's a very smart way. Another thing, I also when I'm booking appointments, I'll put like north or west on it so that I know what side of town it is. So I'm like aware that, all right, I need to know where I'm gonna be. It also helps me while I'm booking, so I don't book west side, east side, west side, east side. Because then, I want to be a little bit strategic. Obviously, if I can, I'm gonna book it anyway. But it's a zip code map. You could just Google it. I'm sure Los Angeles zip code map, Houston zip code map. It should come out.
Mm-hmm. Right. And how much money do you think you missed by not being coachable from the very beginning?
Oh, a lot. Another thing is have all your agent numbers, agent codes ready, everything. Because I used to leave sales when they would get declined, and I'll call Colton. He'd be like, "Oh, how did your 2 o'clock go?" And I'm like, "Oh, I got declined." And he's like, "Oh, did you try Prosperity? Did you try?" Oh, they do. I don't know my codes. I have them, but I don't know where they're at. So now when I hire people, I make sure they have all their codes and everything bookmarked, because you lose a lot of money. So I don't have a number for it, but I would say a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Just forget about what you think you know, and just follow someone that's producing, because they've been through stuff, and they'll help you. They have like basically a map. All right, there's a hole right here, hole right here, hole right here. Just go like this. And then we go, no, I like the hole. No, like, don't do that. Please don't do that.
Right, yeah. You were great. Like, you got America. You're like, all right, I'm out in the field. I don't need anything else, which is awesome, because you don't. But then you had all your contracts. It's like, no, you're leaving money on the table. You got to pivot. Yeah, right. Call me when they decline.
Yeah, I remember that. That was funny. It's funny. I'm glad we can laugh about it now.
Right, exactly, because you are where you are now. And do you have any different approach when it comes to mortgage leads versus life leads with your script?
With my script? No, I run very little mortgage. I don't know, I'll probably get 2 leads a week on mortgage. So I'll just go, "Hi, Colton." They'll say yes. "Hi, Colton, this is Robert. I'm calling you from the Mortgage Protection Department in regards to your loan with Rocket Mortgage for the amount of $200,000. I'm actually just the underwriter. I'm just the underwriter assigned to you to give you the information in regards to the mortgage protection. They have me out in your area Tuesday and Wednesday. It just takes 15 minutes. Which day will work best for you and Sylvia?" And then they'll say, "Oh, wait, what is this again?" "Oh, it's about the form you send out regarding the mortgage protection. If something were to happen to you, it'll pay off the mortgage." And they're like, "Oh, yeah. And they'll just choose a time and day. Again, if they say, "I can't those days," "Oh, is it because you work?" I always say that. And then they'll say, "Yes." "Okay, great. What time you get off work?" 6. "Okay, perfect. I'll be there at 7. Okay. And then, just how I do it.
Right. Yeah. It's really no different. Just mainly your intro.
Yeah, just the intro.
Sweet. So before we wrap up, guys, any other last questions? I don't see any more in the chat. So if you have any, shoot them in there real quick. But so I don't think anyone else has any other questions, but so it was awesome having you on, Robert. I think this has been a really, really good call, especially really everything, and especially your in-home. So I appreciate you just giving everybody your all this morning. I know you're running again today, so appreciate everything you did for everyone. Hopefully somebody, even if it's just one little thing that you can take from this to better your business and go from 10, 15 to 20, 30. So I appreciate that. Any last words?
I mean, I just appreciate everyone for waking up to listen to Robert. But, I love these calls. I listen to everyone's calls. So, hopefully, we learn from everyone, whether you're doing 15, 30, 50. I think we can learn something from everyone. So I just appreciate everyone. Thank you, Colton. Thank you, Stephen Yee, for doing this for all of us, to help, because this is how we all learn, we learn from everyone. And there's mistakes. So I hope you learn from my mistakes today. And go get it, guys. Just be relentless.
Awesome. Yep. Again, Robert, I appreciate it. Everybody that's on this call, and get on this call every week, go and take action. Everyone, all the top producers, Robert, me, every top producer you see in the SkyPoint agency is out there running the weekends. 70% of our business is ran on the weekends. So continue to run heavy on the weekends, and then clean up the rest of the week, today and tomorrow, and just keep that structure, keep the consistency that Robert's talking about, and you will eventually get to where your goals are, and you'll never have to worry about money again. So with that, we'll see everyone, and then just reach out to either one of us. Robert, I know we'll take anyone's call and answer any questions that you might have about anything that you guys want to dive in deeper with them. So hope everyone finishes the week out strong. We'll see you next week.
All right, sound good.